As she continued growing, her journey was far from easy because the world never forgets to remind people of their past even when they rise above it. She would walk into meetings where wealthy businessmen whispered behind her back saying she was raised by garbage collectors. What can she possibly know? But she stayed calm, she stayed focused, because she had learned long ago that the noise of the world only distracts those who allow it to. Her vision was bigger than their doubts, her dreams louder than their judgment. Every morning she woke before sunrise, stood in front of a cracked mirror in her small room and whispered to herself, "You were not born to break, you were born to rise." She practiced her speeches with passion, imagining thousands sitting before her. She visualized success even when success felt like a distant dream, and slowly the world began to notice her determination, her fire, her resilience. People started inviting her to colleges, conferences, global events, and when she spoke with such depth that even the coldest hearts melted. She told her story not to gain sympathy but to awaken humanity. She reminded people that circumstances do not define destiny, choices do. As she grew, her organization grew too. She hired young girls abandoned by families, homeless boys who slept on footpaths, widows who had no one left. She believed every broken person is a future leader waiting to be rebuilt. She gave them jobs, taught them skills, restored their dignity, and every day she thanked the universe for giving her pain, because without pain she would never have risen. Without rejection she would never have discovered her strength. Without being abandoned she would never have learned unconditional love. But while she changed thousands of lives, her own heart still carried a silent question. Who were the people who left her behind? Why did they do it? Did they ever think of her? Destiny had its own timing. One evening she was invited to a prestigious award ceremony, a grand hall filled with influential figures, cameras flashing, lights shimmering, reporters whispering her name. She walked onto the stage wearing a simple dress, nothing extravagant, because she never forgot where she came from. When she received the award, the audience stood clapping endlessly, but in the crowd two faces stood frozen, the same couple who had abandoned her years ago. They recognized her immediately, their daughter, the child they left in the rain, the baby they thought would die, the girl they sacrificed out of fear, had become a global inspiration. After the ceremony they approached her, the mother trembling, saying, "We are so sorry, we have lived in guilt every day since that night. Your face, your cry, your tiny hands have haunted our dreams. We never forgave ourselves." The father, sobbing, said, "We were young, scared, stupid. We destroyed your beginning. Please punish us, please hate us." But she looked at them with calm eyes, her voice gentle, and said, "I don't hate you. If I hated you I would still be tied to the night you abandoned me. I forgave you long before I ever knew your faces, because forgiveness is freedom, hatred is prison. But remember this, no mistake is bigger than responsibility. If you create a life you must protect it, you must love it, you must fight for it." They cried like children, holding each other's hands, breaking under the weight of regret, and she simply walked away, leaving them with the mercy they never expected. But life had more turns, more tests. One of the men who raised her, Kareem, grew ill. Age had finally caught up with him. She stayed by his bedside, holding his wrinkled hand, whispering, "Baba, you gave me life when others threw me away. I am everything because you believed in me." Kareem smiled weakly and said, "No, child, you are everything because you believed in yourself. You were born with fire, and now that fire lights the world. Promise me you will keep helping those who need you. Promise me you will never let your pain turn into arrogance." She nodded, tears streaming down her face, saying, "I promise." And Kareem closed his eyes for the last time, leaving behind a legacy of love that wealth could never buy. His death broke her, but it also strengthened her. She built a huge rehabilitation center in his name, offering education, food, therapy, shelter, and hope to thousands. She told everyone, "This is my father, not by blood but by heart. Blood creates life, but love saves it." She expanded across countries, opened schools, gave scholarships, created safe homes for abandoned children. She trained speakers, mentors, leaders. She changed the fate of entire communities, and every time she stood in front of a microphone she shared her message in a voice that touched souls. She said, "Your beginning does not decide your worth. Your scars do not define your future. Your pain is your greatest teacher. Life may break you, but you choose whether to stay broken or rebuild stronger." And millions listened listened, cried, healed and rose because she gave them not just words but truth, and the truth was simple. If an abandoned newborn thrown behind a college can rise to change the world, then no one is too broken to rise, no one is too lost to find purpose, no one is too weak to become powerful. She became a symbol of hope, not just for her country but for the world. She traveled continents, spoke in stadiums, stood before world leaders, and every stage, every spotlight, every applause reminded her of the cold ground where she once lay fighting for life. But she had risen and she wanted the world to rise too. Her message echoed everywhere: never abandon a child, never destroy a future out of fear, never choose shame over responsibility, because the life you throw away today might become the light the world needs tomorrow, and the child you reject might become the person who saves millions. And with every word she proved that destiny is not written by those who leave you, it is written by those who raise you, those who love you, and most importantly by you yourself. And her story continued, inspiring every heart, reminding every soul that the strongest people are the ones the world tried to break and failed. In this world, some stories begin with laughter, some with dreams, but then there are stories that begin with a scream, the scream of a newborn thrown into a world that never asked for her and never welcomed her, and yet she survived because destiny had written something for her that even the cruelty of human hearts could not erase. So listen closely, because this is not an ordinary story, this is not a fairy tale, this is a truth of fire, a journey that starts in darkness so deep that a soul must claw its way out just to breathe. On a stormy night when the sky roared and the wind whipped through the empty college streets, two young hearts stood trembling behind the old building. The girl, barely 19, soaked in rain, eyes filled with fear, holding a tiny newborn whose cries cut through the thunder like a painful truth. The boy, pacing back and forth, swallowed by panic, whispering, "We cannot keep her, we cannot face the world, we cannot face our families, everything will be destroyed if anyone finds out, we are finished." The girl shook her head, tears mixing with rain. She whispered, "She is my child, our child, how can we leave her alone in this cold?" But fear makes even strong hearts collapse, and the boy, desperate, said, "If you keep her, your life is ruined. You know what our parents will do. We don't have money, we don't have courage, we only have one way, and that way is to walk away." The girl stared at the newborn, her heart breaking with every breath. The baby made tiny fists as if fighting for her right to exist, but under the flickering streetlight they placed her gently on the wet ground, wrapped in a thin cloth, rain soaking her tiny face, her cries echoing into the night. The girl stepped back, hands trembling, chest shaking, eyes burning as she whispered, "Forgive me, please forgive me." But the wind carried her words away as they walked away, leaving behind a life they created and abandoned. Hours passed, the storm faded, the world slept, but the newborn cried until her voice cracked, until exhaustion wrapped around her tiny body, until a group of garbage collectors roaming the area heard the faint, desperate sound. One bent down, shocked, whispering, "Ya Allah, this is a baby, this little soul was left here to die." They lifted her carefully and carried her to their small broken room at the edge of the city, where the smell of garbage mixed with the warmth of human hearts. Kareem, the oldest, sat beside her, watching her breathe, saying, "We are poor, we have nothing, but we have humanity. We cannot let this child die." And so the abandoned baby found a home, not among wealth, not among privilege, but among men whose hands were rough but whose hearts were soft. She grew up surrounded by love, not luxury. She laughed, played on dusty streets, learned to walk with broken toys made from scrap. She watched Kareem work sorting plastic and paper, and once she asked, "Baba, why do people call us garbage people?" Kareem smiled and said, "Because they only see what we carry, not who we are." His words sank deep into her heart, and something strong awakened inside her, a fire, a desire to prove her worth, to prove that being abandoned does not make someone weak. When she found old newspapers, she taught herself to read. By the age of 10, she was reading books thrown away by others. She was curious, hungry for knowledge. One day a social worker saw her reading on the roadside. Shocked by her intelligence, she helped her enter school, but school was not kind. Children laughed at her old clothes, whispered about her smell, mocked her because she was raised by garbage collectors. But she stayed silent, swallowed her pain, and studied harder. Every night she read under a dim, broken bulb, fighting sleep, fighting tears, fighting fate. By the age of 15, she discovered motivational speaking, watched videos of people who turned pain into purpose and something clicked inside her. She whispered, one day I will stand on a stage, two one day I will speak, two one day I will rise from nothing. Years passed, she excelled in studies, won competitions, earned scholarships. Her voice grew strong, confident, powerful. When she spoke, her words came from scars, from pain, from survival. People listened not because she was trained, but because she was real. Her first speech went viral, her second reached millions. She became hope for the hopeless, a torch for the lost, a guide for the broken. She opened a foundation, gave jobs to thousands, built schools, created programs to help children like her rise. She became one of the biggest motivational speakers in the world, yet she never knew who her parents were until destiny brought them to her one day after a massive event where thousands came to listen. A couple approached, trembling eyes filled with tears. They said, we are your parents. We left you behind the college. We made a mistake. Please forgive us. She looked at them calmly. They were older, weaker, smaller than she expected, shame covering their faces. She took a deep breath and said, life has already punished you. I don't need to, but remember, if you choose to create a life, you must choose to protect it too. Never abandon your responsibility, never destroy a future out of fear. She forgave them not because they deserved it, but because her heart deserved peace. She returned to Kareem and the men who raised her, built them a home, provided them comfort, gave them the respect the world denied them. She stood on stages around the world telling people that your beginning does not define you, your pain does not limit you, your scars do not break you, they shape you, teach you, strengthen you. And every time she spoke, she remembered the cold night, the rain, the ground, the abandonment, and she turned that memory into a message for the world. Never throw away a child, never let fear guide your choices, never leave an innocent life to suffer, because every child has a purpose, every soul has meaning, every heartbeat carries destiny, and sometimes the greatest heroes are born from the deepest wounds.